Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the 5 p.m. podcast. I'm Tina, and as always, I'm joined by Dan, the guy who makes politics actually sound fun.
Hey, Tina. And hey, listeners. Glad to be back. And fun? I think of it as an exciting adventure. A roller coaster, if you will. But today, we've got something that might make even the bravest roller coaster rider a bit queasy.
Oh, you're talking about the tariff talk, right? Trump's proposed 25% tariffs on, well, a lot of things.
Exactly. Autos, chips, and pharma. It's like he picked three major pillars of the global economy and said, let's shake things up.
Shake things up is one way to put it. Another is potentially cause a lot of economic headaches. So where do we even begin with this?
Let's start with cars, the auto industry. Because, from what I've been reading, they're the ones most freaked out right now.
Okay, lay it on me. Why the automotive panic?
Well, a huge chunk of the cars sold in the U.S. are actually time imports. And a lot of those come from Mexico and Canada. We're talking about supply chains that are deeply intertwined, like decades in the making.
So, a 25% tariff on those imports? That's going to add up fast.
Big time. We're not talking a few extra bucks. Think thousands of dollars added to the price of a car. I saw one estimate that said wholesale prices could rise by $4,000 to $6,000 times per imported vehicle.
Ouch. That's going to hit consumers right in the wallet. What are the car companies saying about all this?
They're not happy, to say the least. Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, said something along the lines of these tariffs blowing a $15 billion hole in their North American supply chain. That's not a small hole.
15 times billion? Okay, that paints a pretty clear picture. So what are they going to do? Just absorb that cost?
Some of it, maybe. But a lot of it will likely get passed on to us, the buyers. Or, they might try to shift production, but that takes time. And a asterisk lot times of money. That's not like you can just pick up a factory and move it overnight.
Right. It's a complex web. All right, let's move on to the next target. Semiconductors. What's the story there?
Semiconductors. These are the tiny brains inside, well, almost everything electronic these days. Your phone, your computer, your car, even your microwave probably has some in there.
So basically, everything that makes modern life modern.
Exactly. And a asterisk huge percentage of those chips are imported. We're talking about 72% reliance on imports, according to one source I saw.
So if car prices go up, everything time else is going to go up too?
Potentially, yes. Everything that uses semiconductors could get more expensive. And that's a asterisk lot times of things.
This is starting to sound a little bit terrifying. Okay, final category. Pharmaceuticals. What's the potential impact there?
This one is particularly sensitive because we're talking about people's health. A lot of the drugs we rely on, especially generic drugs, are imported.
And generic drugs are often the more affordable option, right?
Precisely. So if those imports get hit with a 25% tariff, well, you can see where this is going. Drug prices go up, and people might have to make tough choices about their health care.
That's a really scary thought. So it's not just about inconvenience or having to pay more for a new phone. It could impact people's ability to afford essential medication.
Right. It hits at a very fundamental level. And that's estimated at 25% to 30% price increase. It's serious stuff.
Okay, so we've got potential price hikes across the board. Cars, electronics, medicine. What about the bigger picture? What's the risk of this turning into a full-blown trade war?
That's the big fear. That other countries, like those in the EU, will retaliate with their times tariffs on American goods.
So it becomes a tit for tat? And everyone ends up losing?
Exactly. It could hurt American exports, slow down the global economy. It's a messy situation. The EU already has a 10% tariff on cars, compared to the US's 2.5%. So there's already some tension there.
So is there any times potential upside to these tariffs? I mean, what's the argument for timing?
The main argument is protecting American industries and jobs. The idea is that by making imports more expensive, you encourage companies to produce goods domestically.
Bringing manufacturing back to the U.S.? That sort of thing?
Right. But it's a gamble, because you're betting that the benefits of increased domestic production outweigh the costs of higher prices and potential trade wars.
It's a delicate balancing act. And, frankly, it sounds like a gamble with pretty high stakes.
It is. And the long-term effects are hard to predict. Will companies actually shift production back to the U.S.? Or will they just find other countries with lower costs? These are questions that will take time to answer.
And in the meantime, it sounds like consumers are going to be feeling the pinch. Well, Dan, as always, you've given us a lot to think about. Thanks for breaking this down for us.
My pleasure, Tina. It's a complex issue, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on how it develops. And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll be back soon with more on the 5 p.m. podcast.